starting a business, business partners, and broken promises. They all go hand in hand sometimes, and we're always left asking why. Let's talk about it. Roll it. Welcome back to another video. My name is Nikos Rentas. This is mentorsapproach.com. If you like what you see at the end of the video, hit that like button. Of course, if this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button to get your daily motivational idea to get you moving in the right direction. Starting a business is never easy. It's always a mind game that you are playing with yourself, and when you're playing with other people in the startup world, well, now you got to work with their mind games and what they're going through, because fear takes over it. It's a big part of the equation, especially when money and time is involved. And this is critical to understand. It's critical to accept as a simple truth. Fear will exist. Got an email here from somebody who I think we can all relate with. Hi Nikos, why do people break promises? I'm gonna make videos on this. It's a long, very long and extensive topic. I'm on my third venture with somebody new, and I thought this was the one. They proved to be dishonest. You thought the venture was the one, or this person was the one that you're gonna make it with? Instead of working towards finishing their end of the bargain, they pulled out. It has left me with debt and questioning what to do next. I'm booking a coach call with you on the business side to see what I can do, because it is a long story. How do you deal with the broken promises? How do you deal with the emotional side? And this is the thing. You're looking at it from that perspective of you almost like you needed that person. It's almost like they were a pinnacle of your success. And the question is, were they? Backing into the email, I'm on my third venture with somebody new, and I thought this was the one. Well, you know, again, where does that relate? Because you're talking about them pulling out, not doing what they had done, and they pulled out of the bargain that you guys had set. So you made a deal, you're gonna do all these things, they're gonna do all these things, and you know, now they're not doing them. So you had a timeline, and on that timeline you each were supposed to do your part, and as time went on, well, they stopped focusing on this, and maybe they had other life issues, other things they needed to do, and you know, all of a sudden they stopped doing what they were supposed to be doing. Eventually they're like, you know what, I'm gonna pull out of this, good luck. The reasoning, that why, it's the question you'll never get the answer for. This is the reality of it. We never fully understand why somebody will do this, but what we do understand is motivation and lack of motivation causing a lot of these problems. It's this idea is born, we are pumped by the thought of achieving this, we start working towards it, but as time goes on and we don't see results that we're expecting to see, motivation goes down. Our heart, you know, we may have thought our heart was into it, but really it wasn't. We were just stuck in that idea, that concept of what could be, and then eventually we see the time, energy, the money we're spending. Even if we're not investing into it, we're still spending time, and we could be doing something else, so money is being wasted. And of course there's the external influences of other people, and this all creates this fear, and the fear just takes over, really. The next part of this is, how do you deal with the broken promises? You know, how do we deal with any broken promise? It doesn't matter what the relationship is. It's, you know, you're asking here, how do you deal with these broken promises? How do you deal with the emotional side? And how do we deal with any relationship? Because this is what you're really stuck on. This person abandoned you. And because they abandoned you, they've broken trust, they've broken those promises that they made, and now you're affected by it. And this isn't, you know, your first time, this is your third time on the rodeo with somebody trying to do a startup. And the reality of it is, it's not really the startup, it's really you being attached to an emotional level with this person kind of stabbing you in the back. This is your mentality, and this is the relationship between you and them, and it's nothing to do with the startup. It's nothing to do with all the big think that you guys had together and the end result. It was the journey you experienced with this person, and now you don't have that person on the journey. Understanding this will allow you to just sit back and say to yourself, all right, I had this journey I started with, and I had this timeline, and now across this timeline we had set goals that we're going to achieve, and now the goals, as we're moving forward, I stuck to my side of the deal, they didn't, and now this timeline, well, it's not going to keep to where we had set it, because maybe we have 20 or 30% left of this project we're going to launch into a business. Well, we needed that person to hit that end game and really launch, and the question is, what do we do now? And that's the business side of things. On the personal emotional side of things, we're asking, well, why would somebody do this to us? And trying to answer this why will only ruin your chances of success in what you are doing. The goal right now is to understand that, hey, in your first and second venture, clearly you did not achieve everything you wanted to do. You're on your third venture. You thought this was it. This was the big one. And you have this kind of a reliance on somebody who, they weren't really up to the challenge, and they quit. They bailed. So where does this all fit in the narrative you've created now versus the narrative you had before? Was the narrative based on this person, or was it based on the idea? And the whole thinking process is similar to relationships in general, whether they're with your friends, your family, your colleagues, your intimate ones. Where do they lie in your happiness? Do you need them to be happy? And the moment we realize we don't need people to be happy, we just need to have our purpose in life, our mission, that direction we're going in. And if we focus on that, the right people start coming to our lives because the wrong ones leave. Well, then we start to understand that promises are not really everything we think they are. The handshake that used to be is no more. People have so many opportunities now where I promised I'm gonna go do this, but now a different opportunity showed up. It's better for me. I'm sure you're gonna understand. And at the end of the day, look at all the work I did for you, so you can keep doing it. That's no problem. Get my drift? This concept of promises is very difficult in our day and age. And when people get upset about, it used to be back in the day, and, or I have business partners too that are they're the handshake people, and they always get burned. They always get burned because they're handshake. And I'm good. I'm a handshake person. And, I met this person. He's a handshake person too. I know it. Really? Okay. There are very few people that are handshake people, and they're gonna say, yes, let's shake on this, let's move on this, and we can do all the paperwork after. That's the reality of it. And yeah, if you luck out, you luck out, but it's luck. So how do we get over these emotions? It's sticking to that purpose. It's looking at what you've done. And yeah, you said you're gonna get on a coach call with me, which is great. And we'll talk this further, but this is where you start to think. And for those people watching this, you started on this journey, and you say you got 30% left, and you got this, story to still complete. That 30% needs to now change in the structure and timeline that we originally thought. And because of this, now we can start focusing on, hey, let's look at what we can actually do in the timeline that we have, for one. Two, what can we do with it? Can we expand the timeline, or can we keep the timeline in that same variable of maybe an extra month, 2 months, instead of really doubling that time or tripling the time, and say, all right, what can we do with this timeline that we have? If I want to keep it around the same amount of time and just put a variable on it, what do I need to do? Because now I've lost this person that said they're going to do all this. what can I do? Can I do the work? Can I do everything? I had timed it so that 2 people were working on it. So, and maybe they were critical on something, and now I got to find that critical side of things. And so maybe I need to spend more money to bring more people in to do the work. And instead of partnering out, which a lot of people tend to do because money's always an issue, maybe I'll outsource something, or maybe I'll change the idea a little bit so I can launch and start getting cash flow to come in. Maybe I'll rethink what I'm doing, go after a niche market, get cash flow to come in so I can pay people. Or maybe it's, hey, you had somebody else you can bring in and they can do a great job, offer them something in a form of, percentage, and all of a sudden they start finishing in that timeline. Or you can look at the timeline and spread the timeline and say, you know what, I'm gonna spread this thing for another 3 months, and I'm gonna, 6 months, whatever it is, and I'm gonna do everything on my own. I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna launch. I'm gonna move forward. We're looking at this, and now we're saying, let's put this into perspective. Let's put goals into place every week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We'll be measuring what we're doing, how are we achieving, where are we moving towards, and how is this all flowing for us, and what changes do we need to make. And as you start doing this, well, what's going to happen is your mind's going to leave that why did that person leave to I got this, I'm moving forward, check out my progress, I'm moving towards that purpose I've created for myself, I'm moving in the direction. I don't really need anything than me right now making sure I'm doing the things I need to do. Doesn't matter which route you took, you're doing everything to keep moving forward to achieve that goal, that big goal of your launch, of your venture. And the reality comes down to, you achieving it. And as you start doing this, that why question, it starts to go away. That idea of who that person was in this story starts to go away. The narrative changes, and then all of a sudden, as you're moving and you're getting to that 80, 90% of completion, and you're about to launch, well, it just turns into this unbelievable experience of you achieving something that you thought you needed somebody else to do. Now you're doing it, and your life just, that moment of that person leaving, which was like a heartbreak for you, well, now forget the promises. All that stuff gets flushed down the toilet or out the window, whatever term you want to use. And now you're like, that was a blessing. That was a blessing. And trust me, these blessings, they come more often than not, but it's only when we continue to work towards what we're trying to do. And if we're not continuing to work towards what we're trying to do, well, then we become stale, we fall behind, emotions take over, fear takes over again, and we become resentful, not only on that promise that was broken by that individual, but we start to resent ourselves for allowing somebody to break the promise, and being like, how did I screw that one up and pick the wrong person again to start a venture? And not only that, well, now we're jumping into this idea where we are failing and we've given up, and we start to resent ourselves for not pursuing what we're supposed to do and allowing emotions to take over. I think we've dealt with similar stuff in our other relationships, and in our other relationships is quite, it's more clear to see sometimes, but this is one of those things where, when you break up with somebody or they break up with you and you feel heartbroken, and, your mom's like, or your dad's like, you know what, this won't mean anything when you find the right person. And it's really, you're moving in your purpose, your mission to find somebody. And when you do find that person, it's not that person that makes you forget the past. It's the fact that you're moving in that direction where it allows somebody to come in, and all of a sudden the past does not matter. My name is Nikos Rentas. This is mentorsapproach.com. Hit a like if you like what you saw, and of course, hit the subscribe button to get your daily motivational idea to get you moving in the right direction. Leave your comment below, your story of this kind of an experience, so that, somebody might be reading it and somebody might relate, and who knows, you might help change my life.